Graham, Scottish cycling legend, the man, is a genius in the true sense of the word. His uncanny, free audiobook, his uncanny ability to tackle problems from an angle that no one else could have thought of makes him a one-off, an original. If I can just quote David Icke, you were born an original, don't die a copy. I went to 2 David Icke concerts, fucking great. What's your favourite David Icke album? He sees the world in a different way to us more mortals. Read that subtext. He sees the world in an individual way, which is the way we're supposed to look at life. Yeah. In a world of conformity being an original, I'm just going to add to this as I feel like, okay? In a world of conformity, being an original is seen as a crazy thing, okay? He sees the world in a different way to us mere mortals and comes up with ideas and solutions which makes you laugh, shake your head and say, why didn't I think of that? So I think I'm just emulating Graham Obree right now by creating the best podcast in the history of Dumfries live on my Facebook right now with no preparation, no effort really, you know. So I'm emulating Graham Obree, aren't I? I'm being that guy because no one else on Strava, locally at least, thought to do all the videos that I did. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of videos. Some of them really quite original. Some of them not so original, but if I can just quote myself, we need to be more childlike, don't we? We need to feel, don't we? We need to feel, okay? We need to have a feeling, if I can just quote the bass player out of the darkness, you know? A feeling is really quite a nice thing to have. Some people don't think it's a very good thing to have, but go to the gym. Don't need to go to the gym, but you do whatever you want, I don't care, but you know what I mean? It's really quite, as I say, I'm creating history right now because I'm going to read this book and then just use my free mind. You know, I've got a free mind. Thoughts come to me. It's amazing and I can actually speak them, you know. So I emulated Graham Obree, do you not think? By daring to be myself in this fucking repressed society, repressed town full of half-baked men. Get on your... do what you want, I don't care. This is my life. I'll say what the fuck I want because I think this is important, right? You know, what are people actually doing? That's the question I ask. What are people doing? Have I lost the plot here or what? This is normal to me. You know, I mean, most people don't obviously feel the need to do this, right? But if I feel the need to do it, I'll do it, right? And invariably, as I've said 1,000 million different times, you're fucking crazy for speaking, engaging, to quote Obree. Who are we looking to? What do you do in this life? You know, what do? You watch Netflix every night and then that's what you do and that's what your life is until the end of time? Or do you actually do something different? Break up the monotony. Do something different. Read a book and then talk about it, you know, engage, to quote the great man. You know, engage ideas, engage your own intellect, imagination. Have a little mashup and a little conversation between me and Graham right now. At least if I was to meet Graham, right? That was a funny thing. I actually met the great man. You know what I mean? Down the fountain. I was the only man. I guess that makes me original as well, doesn't it? Since I was the only man to make the effort to actually talk to the great man because everyone else seemed to be too intimidated or... he's a bit like me, isn't he, Graham Obree? Because he was standing there going, fucking hell, looking around him. No one's talking to me. What's happening? Nothing's going on here. I'm fucking buzzing here. I'm fucking cycling legend. Why is no one talking to me? You know what I mean? Why aren't we, you know? And I thought to myself, I'm fucking here at the fountain. I bumped into Graham Obree. Fucking hell, speak to the fucking man. Life's for living. Yes. Do you know what I mean? And he's probably thinking, I'm standing here fucking the man, the cycling legend, and no one's talking to me. I feel practically invisible here. So I can relate to that feeling, Graham, if indeed that's the way you felt. You know, so thanks for your. Again, this is what you find about the great people. They actually share their ideas, or they're open-hearted, open-minded. They're always quite happy to share their knowledge, wisdom, experience, information. Spread it out. You know, the abundance, yes, comes from the success, doesn't it? Some people don't want you to be successful, do they? They want you to stay in the box, stay mediocre, stay shit. It's all right to strive. It's all right to get good at things, isn't it? You know, but to me, more people should be like him in this country. Yes, applause. More people should be like him, because too many people are too concerned, but like what David Icke said. Too many people are too concerned. Well, what did the next man think of me? You know. Well, to quote myself, where you got to be in 10 years' time? You got to be sitting down the bar, getting drunk, talking about that crazy guy Dave up the high street who went woo in the street, criticising folk who dared to dram of the whiskey of possibility, dared to step outside of the norm, dared to actually achieve, dared to strive for something better than, just than a life less ordinary or something like that. Yeah. Let's see if anything pops out. That's quite funny. He was beat up, wasn't he? Because he had a pink bike. Again, west of Scotland, full of alpha male jack-offs. The film depicts that. This country's full of cunts, right? This country's full of cunts. Go down any pub in Dumfries and you'll see a lot of them. Places like Green's, the Barrel, etc. Has the place moved on? I'm not sure. I would put in your comments below, because I've not been out to the pub in a long time. Because I think if I was to go out to the pub, I would probably discover that we haven't really quite moved on. Even in 2025, we're still a bunch of fucking idiots, you know. Has the consciousness of this town... Why don't we look to people like that? Why don't we learn from people like that and raise the consciousness of the collective? You know, get out there and live. Maybe you would see things differently. Maybe you would have a different perspective, and you would understand that, you know, maybe we need to raise the mentality, raise the intellect, raise the consciousness, raise the vibration. Or are we just going to stay in the box like many of these alpha male cunts down the west coast in shitty little parochial dumps like New Cumnock and places like that? You know, get what I mean? Like, what is training? Penny farthing, Patrick. He represents he is, how to explain, he constitutes a great tradition of great Scottish inventors and great Scottish minds, you know. So I think he was, to say he hasn't been celebrated is not really true. He has been celebrated, but he followed that tradition, didn't he? You know, because the guy that invented the penny farthing and the bicycle, Patrick Macmillan, lived in Keirmill, didn't he? And then you've also got the guy who invented the pneumatic tyre, both Scotsmen, I believe, and then also you've got the other Scotsmen in the scientific world. Look them up. And training is very repetitive, yes. So when you get to my stage, you got to break it up. Keep your eye on the prize. What is the prize? In brief, training is repetitive, so you got to break it up, you know. Not only was it, if I could just quote the great man, he said, it's either complimenting me as an engineer or complimenting me as an athlete. In other words, he did very well. He goes, if I do really well, people will say it was either the bike or me as an athlete, and that still is sort of debated, but I think overwhelmingly he was a great athlete as well as a great engineer, so that was really quite good. Very well done. His influence went out, and he had his influence went out, and it found its way into many different fields, which is really quite interesting, and that speaks to the greatness of the man. Bike setup, not really too interested in that. Win or lose difference. What is the difference between winning or losing? Sometimes as much as little as 1 second. One of my hill climb championship wins are won by a second, which is really quite interesting. So that we need to take forward that into the hill climbs to come. The margins can be very small, so almost over egg the pudding, because you never know. To quote that thing that was on the outside of that 24/7 fitness place, it said, you know, losing is what did it say? Losing is for the pain of defeat. The pain of regret is greater than the pain in the moment of trying to. So you might as well go for the pain and suffer in the moment, and so you can be eternally grateful that you made all that effort, that you can appreciate your successes, because the pain of regret is more powerful, isn't it? So life is pain, so get used to it. Bring on the pain. Here come the pain, that kind of thing, right? Oh, it's great. I'm motivating myself. To quote Buddy Rich, genius is the fire that lights itself. You got to light your own fire. Light my fire, light my fire. Oh, look at that, isn't it nice? Very modest equipment. It was interesting when Chris Boardman was doing. He won the Olympic gold medal on a very revolutionary bike at the time, which was developed in conjunction with Lotus cars. Thousands of pounds were spent on that. And meanwhile, he kicked Chris Boardman's ass building a bike out of washing machine parts in his garden. So it was English-Scots rivalry, and he kicked his ass. And what did Graham Obree say in that documentary? He said, I'm not really worried about Graham today, because Graham is one of so many people I've got to be. So for him, I know what the other people can do, and for him it's his debut at the world, so I'm not really bothered, you know. And then he just didn't say a word, but like Jesus, just held his peace, said fuck all. So maybe he is Jesus, you know. Yeah, I mean, like, and he beat Chris Boardman, wiped the smile off his face. That, you know, there was the kind of arrogant kind of Englishman versus the very humble, very unassuming, yet powerful, you know, gentle giant, so to speak, the Scotsman, who arguably, he did kick his ass. So creating a mini universe, I was saying that before, you have to wrap yourself in a whole lovely bubble of yes, me, you got to really create a mini universe for yourself, because at the end of the day, again, it extends to things like that, you know, where you have your little shrine to yourself, and that's only the start. There's other things that I could put. There's just little mementos and, you know, things like that, just to kind of create the vibe of where every day you're bathing in a lovely pool of sumptuous bubbles of your own glowing, glittery LED lights of awesomeness that are wrapping you like Superman's cloak or something like that, you know what I mean? The turbo session is the indoor trainer. Yes, I do 30 minutes every night without fail. And again, to quote myself, it feels, when you get into the discipline of it, it feels easier to do it than not do it. If I could just quote myself yet again, it feels like you're plugged into a lovely big heroin drip of cozy, warm heroin bubble feeling. That's not a bad place to be, is it? You know. There's Graham on the Isle of Arran. He obviously escaped a lot of the abuse and persecution by all at the hands of his fellow Scots men, if you can call them men. I'll call them boys, you know, little pussies who haven't got a clue what it's like to achieve anything other than being a fucking scumbag clone of all the other scumbag clones that are just repeating the same old patterns generation after generation, perpetuating shitty, toxic bullshit patterns that don't do anything to further the consciousness of the nation. Yeah. Think to yourself, see me on race day, right? So that speaks to the whole. I've been out on my bike. This speaks to the maturity thing. I've been out on my bike many times and been in recovery mode, and there have been slower people that have passed me and I've just been going really slowly. And previous Dave would have been ultra competitive. Oh, I've got to chase him. But no, the maturity comes from knowing that, hey, I could kick your ass without trying if I decided to. So don't need to do that. Just save it for the big day. There's the man. How can we get offended by colours? We're quite a shitty, I can't speak for the whole nation, but certainly in the west coast of Scotland, don't ride a pink bike or you'll get punched in the face. That's how we celebrate our sporting legends. Let's punch them in the face. Why don't you get a purpose, you stupid fucking weaselly, cliched cunt of a, sad excuse for a whatever pile of shit masquerading as a person. A lot of these people, why aren't they asking him any questions when he goes into the pub? Why aren't they asking, Graham, tell us how you did it? Nah, it's depicted in the film. He got bullied for achieving. Don't achieve, because we'll shit on you. That's a bit lame. That's a bit backward. That's a bit pathetic. That's a bit absurd. That's a bit medieval. Not even medieval. I don't know. It's a spiritual warfare battle, isn't it? Good versus evil. Let's scapegoat the glowing light. The glowing light. If you were to meet the man, you'd know what I mean. Nothing but he represents what more Scottish males should be like. Very humble yet awesome, open, free, intelligent, warm, giving. Just a shining light in the world. And if I can just quote one of the memes that I put up many years ago, I said, people may view you through their prism perceptions, but keep shining your light. Yes, because I don't think we're supposed to be less of ourselves to keep shitty people happy. I think what we're supposed to do is be the best me. At least that's what I always thought, and that's what I'm continuing to do. And if people find that offensive, well, go away and come back in 20 years when you're an alcoholic, cunt, domestic abusing, rapist, arsehole with personal and financial issues and stuff like that. What else? A thought is like a thing. Some people don't think it's okay to have a thought. They want to control your mind. They're planning yesterday. They want to control what you can think. They want to control what you say, because the projection that goes on in the society, isn't it? Projection. We project our own shitty opinions of you, and we will then gaslight and all the great ideas rather than rising up to them, a bit like that mountain. I think we need to be rising up to good thoughts rather than shitting on them. I think that's what I've discovered from my experience. A lot of people have shit on things that I've said, but I think some of the things that I said many years ago have come true. So how's the karma, dickheads? That sort of thing. Isn't it cool? In real time right now, I'm learning from some of the mistakes that Graham Obree made, because he had problems with depression. He was very prone to deep depression, and part of it was due to quote him, when you achieve big, you end up on this little island and you feel aloof and you feel like even more bullied and ostracized, and that that sort of tends to fuel the whole depression thing. Well, what I learned is, fuck that. Fuck that. If you're happy within yourself and you know you're doing good work, you're training hard, you're working hard, you're contributing, you're being creative, you're doing nothing wrong to anyone, celebrate that, enjoy it. Yeah. To quote myself, why should I dim my light to keep other unhealed people happy? And that's one of the things that we can learn from great athletes, isn't it? The position. Notice how he revolutionized the bike position. Look how he tucked his arms away. He tucked his arms away so it was more aerodynamic, you see. Genius. He look how he turned the handlebars up, didn't he? So he could put his arms, so that little bit there where his arms would normally be hanging down is out of the air, so it's more aerodynamic. So there's a little bit of gain there, isn't there, with aerodynamics? So it was quite genius, that. But again, with all the studies that they've done, we're back. The poor connection. I might have to end it soon, or go into the living room. Flexibility is key, isn't it, in the training regime? Don't want to be too wedded to one idea. The man must have a plan, but be flexible as well. What I was saying there, right? Psychology of racing. I think we have to just up the game, really, don't we? And unleash the beast, not tame the beast, but harness the beast. To quote myself. What else? Breathing. It's very important to breathe. And pedaling is very important to pedal as well. And we're reaching a grand, glorious conclusion. Tiny gains make a real difference. Exactly. So, what I would add to that, thief is the comparison is the thief of joy. Okay, that could be another chapter, couldn't it? We just added to that, but I think in the age that we're in with all the information, I think all the information is available to you. So all the answers are there, the blueprints there. It's just a question of whether you want to do it or not, isn't it? Whether you get off in it, whether you enjoy it, whether it gives you a boner every day to do it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. But if you're really quite turned on by it, do it, because there's nothing wrong with being an advancing man. It's a good thing. It's good to be a better version of yourself each and every day, even if that pisses some people off because they don't understand you, because it just increases your vibe, your zest, your aura, your intelligence, your wisdom, your life force, to quote the great man. That's what one of the things that exercise can do. It increases your life force, and we all need that, don't we? Because we need a better timeline, don't we? The mushroom can teach you that as well, isn't it? But, what else? The race of truth. To quote Alex, truth. It's all about the truth. And that's the point about sport. As Bill Hicks said, all art's the same thing. Art, film, music, it's all the same shit really at the end of the day. Because a sport, to quote what I said about David Miller, another great Scottish cyclist, David Miller didn't give up art to do cycling. No, cycling was his art. And what glorious paintings see what I mean? I've emulated Graham there, haven't I? By engaging my mind and coming up with my own stuff. Again, I was quite proud of myself when I came up with I was Buzz Aldrin, beating them to the moon and back a million times, was gaslit, wasn't it? That was quite clever. See, when you get to a certain level, and the exercise can help you with that, the poetry just comes to you, just comes out the pores, just like the sweat and and all that kind of thing, So we want to keep it going. Be the best you. That's what the athletic endeavour can, is all about, isn't it? And we can transfer that to life. To quote myself, a big, long, perfectly crafted bike ride might as well be a painting. It is a painting. And what a glorious thing, speaking on the Steve Vai appreciation thing, that we have Strava, that we can paint those pictures and they're up there forever. So your name can live on forevermore, like mine has for the past 8 years in several of my segments where I'm top local man in some of the segments, which is really quite nice. But again, we don't want to rest on the laurels. We want to keep going. And I think there is more to be had, you know what I mean? Fuck age, to quote that, coaster that I've got that says age is irrelevant. It's quite clever, that, isn't it? It really is, because it's all in the mind. It's all in the mind. It's mind, body, spirit, isn't it? And you could draw a Venn diagram and stuff like that. Perseverance, hope, and trust. What else? Tip the balance slightly in your favour. One of the things that you can do is life is like riding a bicycle. In order to move forward, you must maintain the balance, but maintaining the balance is not easy, is it? So balance is the key to move forward, isn't it? Balance, movement, forward movement, which is what life is about, really, isn't it? Don't hang on. Don't hang on. Why are you? Someone of those memes today said, "Why are you hanging on to things that that you should have let go?" Don't hang on to things that clinging, isn't it? Want to go with the flow. We don't want to be. We want to go with the flow, and that speaks to the whole Bruce Willis thing, doesn't it? The cracks, the water, and all that stuff. We might be aware of what we've done in the past. We might be proud of it. We might have learned things. We might know the blueprint, but the blueprint should be revised with new information, which is really in line with the scientific method, isn't it? We have our hypotheses. I'm going to be fucking awesome, even though I'm older. And we're going to revise the hypothesis. We're going to collect data and revise the hypothesis slightly with new data. But I think it's still possible to. It's not about I can be better. You could break that down. You could go, I could be better, but it's a different. How do we do that? That's a big question, isn't it? Well, what I've discovered is the 80-20 rule. We incorporate that more. Yes, we push ourselves. Yes, we're still the beast. But to quote myself, harnessing the beast. We don't push. We don't bring out the beast every day, because that leads to burnout, doesn't it? Which I've discovered before. So again, doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting different results is insanity, isn't it? So you've got to modify, and that's what we've done. Redefine, modify. So we don't do the same things. What I've learned is do the 80-20 rule, which is mostly easy. Harness the beast. We bring out the beast, but we don't bring out the beast as much as we did before, because that leads to burnout. We still have the beast, but it's all about harnessing the beast, harnessing it. And you could break that down, couldn't you? Stand out. I think we have done, and I'm really quite proud of that. Oh, he's having a midlife crisis. What, by living? Since when was living wrong? To quote myself, movement is good. I'm making history right now by making the best podcast in the history of Dumfries, and no one but me knows it. That's really quite interesting, isn't it? Again, to quote myself, the more you do, the more invisible you become. That's quite interesting, isn't it? Don't stand out. Stand out for yourself. Own it. Do it for yourself. Do achievement. Don't do it for applause. Do it for yourself, so that please the universe. Please God. Please your dead, deceased dad. Please Graham Obree, that will never even know about your achievement. Please him. Do something that he might turn up at one of these events. And then I might I might decide to phone him up and say, "Do you want to do a podcast, Graham? I did really quite well. Come out, even if I don't do well. Do you want to do a wee chat? Stuff like that. The fantasy, the imagination, and all that kind of thing." Fuck people, because people are invariably don't appreciate the inability of another man to see your worth doesn't diminish your inherent worth. Know your inherent worth. Try and work on it, craft it, get better, so that you can have a great big boner for yourself and go, yeah, I fucking did that. That's really quite nice. We could take that forward. Yeah, that's him pictured with his homemade bicycle. The dichotomy of sport. Yeah, you turn up at these events and you're like, how you doing? Everything's all lovely and convivial. And then you get down to the event and it's brutally, harshly competitive. Fuck you. But how are you doing? How's the wife and kids? Winning is the ultimate goal. Winning, how do we define winning? What is success? I was talking earlier on about, what is identity. You could say, what is winning? What is success? Well, success is whatever you decide it to be. For me, winning is enjoying it. We learn from people like Mike Tyson. We don't want to. What are the collateral damage? You don't want to win at the cost of certain other things. The blind spot. You don't want it to be too much of an escape from things that you really need to be dealing with in life. Although it being somewhat of an escape is not a bad thing. But you could be, winning at life. If the sport that you enjoy doing helps you win at life, that's winning. Winning could be inspiring someone else. Winning could be not necessarily getting first, but it could be getting on the podium in your age category, hashtag gravel age-related competitions. So that could be a goal. Winning could be competing in the way that you want to. Competing could be doing your best. Winning could be doing it all and enjoying it all, as Mike Tyson and James Cosmo said. Stuff like that. Push the needle. Yeah. Do we enjoy the pain? Terry talked about the pain. Love the pain. Do we enjoy pushing it? Don't do it if it brings you pain and suffering, because you should enjoy the pain. Transcendence through pain. A little bit like Jesus, who died for our sins, didn't he? He took all the 39 stripes or whatever like that, or something like that. I haven't read the Bible, but something like that. Transcendence through pain, self-flagellation. Punch yourself in the arm. Get yourself going. That could be winning, couldn't it? We punch yourself. Metaphor, imagine all the thousands and thousands and thousands of pedal revs I've done that have been really painful. Well, it's transcended me through the utter bullshit of life that comes at you. So that's a good thing, isn't it? You could say winning is transcending the bullshit. Fuck all that bullshit, Was that Pantera or Slipknot? Fuck all that bullshit. That's basically what it is, isn't it? Transcendence through pain. So look at me, I'm floating right now. I don't need drugs. I'm talking sober about something that I love, passionate about. So winning could be that, couldn't it? It could be transcending the bullshit. So pushing the needle, getting into the red. To quote Joe Rogan in one of those podcasts, you feel so light in the area. It just, there's something unique about cardio that just heals the soul, frees the soul. So winning could be just freeing your soul, What else? In conclusion, enjoy it. Okay? Whatever you're doing, enjoy it. And I've enjoyed that. So there you go. Fuck what anyone else thinks. Alright? Yeah.